We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast, episode number 82. Welcome to the We Make Movies podcast, making the world a better place, one film at a time. And now, here are your hosts, otherwise known as the director, the actress, and who the hell is that guy? Chad, Michelle, and Garrett. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast. The podcast is all about how to get your movie made, how to get it seen by other people, and how to get it awesome. I am your host, Garrett Robinson. With me, as always, faithful co-hosts Chad Kukahiko and Michelle Lucadou. We are all of us independent filmmakers and members of the We Make Movies filmmaking community in Los Angeles. And welcome to this Sunday afternoon. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
How it's going?
How are you doing?
How are you doing? It's been a really long week, and I feel like we missed a week because it seems like so long since we did the last one, just because like I've been working a lot and staying up late this week and yada, yada, yada. I feel like we haven't done this in forever, but for Chad and me, it's just been a week, and for Michelle, you know, you missed last episode, but it hasn't been that long.
Because you missed me last week. That's what it was.
That's what it was. It wasn't a real show without Michelle, I guess. Okay, so we'll dive right into the topics. We're on a bit of a time crunch today because Michelle is on set. She's filming. So that's why we're going a little bit early today, and that's why we got to we got to get her off to her role and all of that good stuff. But as always, we like to mention that if you're watching this live, feel free to comment on the YouTube channel or tweet us at #WeMakeMovies, and we will respond to your comments live on the air. But with the general news, Chad, you're up first.
Yeah, so Cannes began this week, and there was a little bit of drama at the New Media Conference when Ted Sarandos from Netflix. Actually, let me put my mic in front of my mouth so it doesn't sound like I'm in a tunnel.
I was just going to say something sounds very weird.
Yes.
Well, but he just went from like normal to like sexy radio voice.
Hey there.
Ow!
So coming at you live over the power of the internet, and today.
The article that talks about what went down is really interesting. I'll include it in the I've never heard of this website ydr.com, but I'll include the link. And it's really interesting because Ted Sarandos from Netflix got up to speak, and it was really dramatic because like apparently a French journalist piped up and was like, "You're destroying European cinema," whatever, like in the middle of the interview.
What?
Yeah, it was. I mean, if you think about it, it actually sort of kind of makes sense in this. I mean, if Netflix wasn't as powerful and rich as they are, then they wouldn't be snapping up. Like they're throwing more money into the indie market than just about anybody else out there right now, and it's kind of pissing people. I mean, the French consider themselves like the inventors of cinema, and Cannes is like that's like the church. That's like the holy grail of it. So it's like when they just on the other side of that same coin, when the Hateful Eight trailer went and it said shot in beautiful 70 millimeter, the audience apparently roared with applause and everything. So that's Cannes, you know what I mean? It's like again, assuming I'm pronouncing it correctly. I never ever. It's like what it's like. It's like Edinburgh or Edinburgh, whatever. I don't know. Like there's both ways of pronouncing them, and I don't ever know which one is right. But anyway, at Cannes, they're just not super pro new media. You know what I mean? And they see the strength and the power and the money that Netflix has as something that's really actually bad for cinema, which is and obviously Ted Sarandos doesn't think that, and one of the Weinsteins was there also and kind of piped up apparently and said, this is not bad for cinema, this is good for cinema. So anyway, it's interesting. Obviously, you guys all probably know my opinion, but I'd love to hear what you think about that.
I don't understand. So the fact that Netflix is putting more money into indie film than anybody else is a bad thing for indie film? I don't understand.
Well, I'll give you the point of view from the movie theaters, for instance, is the theater owners, right? Is so they signed on with the Weinstein Company to help fund the sequel to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. But this is the thing. They're doing it. They want to launch it online the same day that they launch it in theaters, and none of the major film theaters, the film chains are going to go with them. So they're going to have to go with some of the smaller guys, and that's all they're going to be able. That's where they're going to have to screen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. They see it as cutting into their bottom line, and they see it as cutting into their authenticity. I imagine, you know what I mean. But I don't know. It's
so the big theater chains aren't carrying the film that Netflix paid for. It's only going to be shown in the smaller independent chains, where smaller independent. This is insanity. Like this seems like nothing but a good thing for indie filmmakers. I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of understand. Not that I agree, but I see it from it's from a bougie sort of like French. Like, oh, you must go into a small theater and.
Do you mean? I'm sorry, but do you mean bourgeois?
Bougie is bourgeois. Yeah, it's like a. You've never heard the term bougie? Bourgeois is bougie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard bougie.
I think it's more of a like traditionalist standpoint. I think it's all about like the tradition that like people are up in arms about, because like but
get off my lawn, kids. That's what it's about.
You dang kids in your Netflix.
Get off of my lawn. That's what it's about.
But I also do think that it's a little bit of a culture thing, and I am French, but I don't agree with them, but Garrett, I see where you're coming from, but there is a part of going to the cinema to see a film that actually does give it respect. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, you dress up, you go with a lady or a gentleman, and it's an evening, and it's a thing. And now people are in their underwear watching it on, their sofa, drinking a beer.
Okay,
but the theater to watch the spectacle. They're not going to go to the theater to watch indie film. I mean, those behaviors are just changing. And the more you fight it, the more you just yelling at the kids to get off your lawn. You know what I mean?
If I'm a movie theater owner or runner or manager or whatever, here's what I do. I go and look at what Netflix, and I contact Netflix, and I say, what, films are really, really popular on Netflix? Indie films, small films, big films, I don't care, but ones that Netflix has paid for. And then I go to them and I say, hey, if you paid for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2 and whatever, and it's a good film and people want to watch it and whatever, why don't I why don't I show your film in my thing, and I'll handle my own promotion locally and everything like that, but some kind of team-up arrangement, because Netflix's overhead is like nothing, so you're not going to pay them what you're going to pay one of the big studios to get a hold of their films and all that. Like, it just doesn't. I don't know. It definitely seems like a get off my lawn approach, and I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about this for a lot more, but we should probably move on because I know we're on a little bit of a time crunch today.
Yeah. Michelle,
sorry.
Talk to us about completely not independent.
Yes, Upfronts happened. So I was looking at the list of like all of these shows that are happening this season, and it's just a little bit sad because there's just more doctors and superheroes and movie reboots, and there's not anything. I mean, there are some interesting looking. Are you laughing at me? Stop laughing at me. Anyway, so there's like.
Was it me you were asking? I don't know. If it was me.
I heard a chuckle. I heard a. It was the voices in my head.
I'm withholding myself until you finish.
I'm done. I know. But I just feel like it's just more and more of what we already have, and just a little bit of a change, but not enough of a change. Like, there's 4 new medical dramas. NBC's got like Chicago Med, and they've got Heartbreaker. CBS has Code Black. Fox has got Redwood, and then there's all the superhero stuff like Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow and Lucifer, and then Daredevil, which I actually did watch, by the way, you guys, finally, which is really fabulous.
So good.
And there's the movie reboots, like Minority Report was picked up by Fox. CBS has Rush Hour and Limitless, and then ABC's Uncle Buck. But like, I think the question I have here is it the networks that are spoon-feeding us as viewers just afraid to take a chance on a completely new idea, or is it us viewers that aren't accepting of a new idea? I read I think it was
I don't
like
think it's.
The
I don't think
Tipping
it's.
Point or something. Some Malcolm Gladwell book that was talking about stickiness. With stickiness in radio is like whether a person will leave the station on a song or turn it. And there are specific songs that are like the most sticky songs in the world. Believe it or not, like Celine Dion, "My Heart Will Go On" is so sticky. You know,
I rock that shit when it comes on the radio. I'll tell you what.
Well, but it's like it's a familiar chord progression, and it's a familiar beat, and it's a familiar ABA kind of format. And I wonder if that's what's happening in TV because people just aren't willing to open themselves up to new ideas. And then
I don't know if it's either, because I mean I think that what we're talking about is the same thing that like I always talk about, which is that as we get bombarded with more and more and more and more stuff, the noise is so loud that getting your signal out through it requires you to get something that people already have an attachment to. But this is, remember, the network has a nut. They've got overhead for days, so they have to have these hits. So, and it's, I mean, to some degree, it's been kind of the same thing they've always been doing. It's the lowest common denominator that they have to tackle. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other shows out there. There's that you go to cable, go to Netflix, and you're seeing the stuff that is more daring, that is more, and that's why they're winning all the frickin' Emmys.
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I actually don't think it's neither. I think it's both, because I think that there is a certain laziness attached to just like, well, let's just reboot this. And by the way, major props to Fox and to CBS for jumping on the Minority Report and Rush Hour bandwagons while they're hot. That's some really topical thinking about current film series and franchises that are like, boy, they're right in the here and now, man.
Yes, so current.
Bleeding edge. Edge. But I think that there is. But the thing is that I see it as like the whole reboot culture and everything. It is a natural evolution, because if you can remake and reboot existing intellectual properties that are already really popular, why wouldn't you? And the more, there will always be artists fighting to make their first statement, their original idea, their original content, and some of it will work and some of it will not. And everything that does just becomes another thing that can be rebooted in another 10, 20, 30 years. So it's like the pool of stuff to be rebooted keeps growing, and the pool of reboots therefore keeps growing, and certain reboots will fail and flop, and certain original ideas will always keep going. But what limits the whole cycle is audience time, size of audience time. If you can get a big enough audience, and the size of audience on the planet is growing every single day just with population growth, if you can get a big enough audience, the reboot will be successful and it will continue going. But then you will always need new and original content to spice things up, or people will get fatigued. So it's going to be a back and forth shifting for the rest of the foreseeable future of cinema and everything, I think.
Yeah, but the rebooting thing is here. I mean, I'm just going to answer the rhetorical question that you asked, like, you know,
Chicken
why
or the
not
egg?
do it? Well, no. He said which one. He said if you can reboot, why not? And the answer to that question is because it's not original, and originality is something that people value a lot.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, is that there will always be people, you know, like us and like other indie filmmakers and stuff. We're trying to get our own original stuff made because it's good and people will like it. I mean, we still have original stuff
But
coming
my point is the frustration that a lot of people who crave original works are feeling is that they're not seeing it in the major cinema, and they're not seeing it in sort of the main places where you see these shows and stuff. And I'm saying you're looking in the wrong place. That's my point.
Yes,
Exactly.
but us as viewers we're kind of an anomaly. Like there's a whole middle of America that is not open to the cutting edge formats of TV and film.
Right.
Is what
Right.
and unfortunately that's where all the money is.
All right,
it's
well,
a
let's
lot.
jump on.
I don't know. If
Let's
it's
jump
all,
on. Yeah, that's for sure. But
That's
let's
it.
jump on to your next topic, Chad.
So I got this is my new Samsung Gear VR thing. I just got it in the mail on Monday. It's so awesome. I talked about it before. Virtual. It's what it is I can take this chunk out here and I can put my phone. It's specifically made for the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge, and it'll basically it turns into and they've partnered with Oculus. Samsung. Yeah. I don't know if you can see that there. Oculus, yes.
Wow.
So they partnered with Oculus, so it has a lot of the same sort of technology in it. It's really this new VR thing is a complete game changer. And if you guys have never seen it, have you guys seen Oculus? Have you guys actually put on the Oculus goggles or anything?
I have not personally experienced the Oculus. No.
No, but it looks like brain cancer in a box.
It might be, but it's worth every. I don't know.
Here's what I see as the problem with Oculus and that VR device and all VR. They have to do some major marketing to handle the fact that I don't want to wear shit on my head. I like 3D movies. The only thing I don't like about 3D movies...
You cannot say this until you've witnessed it. I'm telling you.
No, I know.
But,
no, that's the thing. I know that it's really good. I know that it's awesome because everybody says that it is. Hank Green says that it is. Every YouTuber who's played on the Oculus says it's fucking awesome. And I still look at it and I go, I don't want to wear shit on my head. Like the only thing keeping me from
when you wear it on your head, you're going to change your mind. You're going to be like, holy.
Not if I never put it on my head. And there's a large number of people that will never put it on their heads. That's what I'm saying is they have to market it to handle.
You're wrong. You're WRONG because you will never be able to not wear something on your head. It's not possible.
What do you mean?
This technology is you can't do it without a headset. You can't witness VR without having a head-mounted gear.
No, totally. But just like when Apple came out and they said smartphone, you don't know how much you want this, but you do. And people were like, well, I don't know about the smartphone. And then they were Apple, so they explained and they did a marketing campaign going, here's what's awesome about the smartphone. And everybody was like,
I'm telling you, they're not going to have to. They're not going to have to. It will spread because I'm telling you, put this on. Just put it on. And next time I see you, I'll make sure I have it if I know that you're going to be there. Put it on, and then you'll see, and then we'll see. It's not going to have to because it's just going to be word of mouth. People who put it on are going to talk to the people who haven't put it on, and they're going to say, you got to put it on. That's the marketing campaign. That's all. This is a complete. I can't explain, and that's what's kind of a little bit crazy about it, is that until you actually put it on and you see it and you see how exactly insane it is. I mean, I actually gave sort of a presentation at my work a couple of weeks ago on this whole thing, so I could tell you a lot. I could tell you about the whole history of the Oculus. I could tell you about the guy who created it. I'm not going to bore you with all those details, but the fact of the matter is once you've seen this, once you've actually witnessed it, you're like, holy cow, this is a game changer. This is the kind of thing where it's like, and I don't like 3D movies. I don't like the glasses. I don't really care about them. But the difference is that in this, you turn like this, you turn your head, you turn behind you, there's stuff. Stuff that's all around you. You are in that world.
Right.
And that's what's so nuts about it. And this stuff, okay, so Facebook bought Oculus a couple months ago for $2 billion. And so they're gonna and they're actually
they're certainly not gonna fuck that up.
Well, listen to this. All this money that's been raised, all this hype, there is not officially something that is for regular consumers. This is called the Innovator Edition thing. Like prior to this one, apparently you were supposed to show that you're actually a developer. I'm not a developer. I just bought this. You can go get it, but they're not in stock, and the stuff is like, so it's not even out for consumers yet. It's not. But the moment it is, it's gonna be, and I'm telling you, like, okay, so video games are the main thing right now, but what's going to blow this up is porn.
Oh God!
True.
Oh, good point. No, he's completely right.
And porn has driven all kinds of markets. Porn drove VHS.
What, you're gonna be like in between the two people fucking?
Yes.
You are one of them, for instance.
Yeah.
So anyway, my point is that this is going to be by Christmas, this stuff is going to be huge, and next year it's going to change everything. Well, Sam's.
I hope that I hope that it does take on, because like I want that that technology is awesome. Like I want to live in the fucking world of Ready Player One. Like I would absolutely love and enjoy that. And if nobody's ever read that book, Ready Player One is the future. Hopefully not in the dystopian aspect of the real world, but the virtual reality universe that exists in Ready Player One. Fucking amazing. It's incredible. You have to stick with the book until page 70 because it's boring as shit, and then after page 70 it's fucking amazing, and it has one of the best endings ever. But
don't spoil it. Ryan Thompson, who gets on the show now and then, he actually bought me that book right after I gave on Kindle. I still haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but yeah, he bought it for me right after. No, I haven't read it yet. I mean, I just gave the presentation. I just gave the presentation 2 weeks ago, so right after it, he bought it for me.
I think you, in particular, are going to shit your pants because it's so awesome.
So I need to wear diapers.
You do, but like I said, you have to.
Or if you're watching porn, you might do something else.
Yeah. A diaper takes care of all of it. But
read a book and watch porn at the same time.
By page 50, I was ready to throw the book away. I was like, this is boring. This is so boring. But everybody I knew was like, keep reading. And literally on page 71, the story launches and it grabs you, and it's one of the best endings of a book I've ever read. Wow. But we got to move on.
Yeah.
Michelle, tell us about Orphan Black.
Yeah. Okay, so I know I'm a little late to the party. Everybody was all about it a long time ago, and I was not interested. But I finally sat down and watched some of it. Have you watched it?
No, neither of us have. So
it's fucking brilliant. It's beautifully shot. I mean, beautifully shot, beautifully edited, and it is the highest, like, hugest, most brilliant multi-character portrayal effort by any actor on television, film I have seen in a long time. And it took me about an episode and a half to kind of be fully in, because I just really wasn't. So the premise is this woman, the actor's name is Tatiana Maslany. She is cloned. So she plays at this juncture 9 different characters at once. And so one of them's like a tight-ass housewife, one of them's like a crazy murderer that speaks like with a Russian accent, and the other one's like a punky, like, dread-wearing artist. And so there's 9 completely different characters that are all clones that are kind of trying to figure out how to, like, stop the cloning process and, like, fix all this awful stuff that's happening with the government and cloning. Anyway, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Like, the subtlety and the completely different characters that this woman plays, it's just, I have no idea why she doesn't have 17 Emmys for it. But so what's happening?
It's first season?
It's what?
Isn't it its first season?
No, second season.
Oh, it is? Oh.
Mm-hmm.
How did they do at the Emmys?
She did not. She was not nominated.
Oh, wow.
Womp womp.
Yeah, I know. Let me make sure. I think it's I started from the beginning, but anyway. So there's this whole contingency online now that people are all up in arms that she should be credited for, paid for, and potentially can be nominated for awards for each one of her characters. Because they're all different names, they're all different characters, but it's like one woman playing all this stuff. So all these people are like tweeting about it, and like this whole revolution, like, people are like, you should call SAG, and like Screen Actors Guild should be paying her per character, and like all of this stuff. I find it interesting though, because they do kind of have a leg to stand on, because I mean, I can't think of a film where someone has played that many characters, or a television.
I mean, I don't know about that many, but there's lots of films where actors have played. Yeah, Atlas Shrugged, the Cloud Atlas, what I meant to say there.
Right. 2 very, very different films.
We're like, couldn't have said a more wrong, incorrect movie. My apologies.
Yeah.
But I think that's overdoing it, because whether she's playing 7 different characters or not, she's still doing. It's the same amount of screen time as a main character in pretty much any TV show. I'm not saying.
No, it's at least twice as much screen time, because the entire thing is.
Unless all 7 of them are talking all at once.
They are. There are scenes. It's the third season.
No.
They're in their third season, by the way.
Okay.
But
hey.
there are scenes where they are talking to each other. There's another one of them on Skype, and there's another one. So it's like her on the screen. There are 4 of her on the screen at the same time.
Super quick side note, Patrick Duncan just wrote, every advancement in visual technology has resulted in a new porn delivery system. First cave paintings were not buffalo hunts, dude. So I had to go back to that. Very interesting.
And Patrick
That's
Duncan.
amazing. But still, only one character is talking, and in a lot of those scenes, it's doubles facing the other way. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure that it's more work. It's not 9 times as much work. You get what I'm saying? Because you can only ever have one character in. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
I honestly don't really have an opinion on this at all, to be honest with you. But
I think that it's amazing. I think that not being nominated for an Emmy is a crime. From everything that I've seen, like I said, I haven't seen the show, but I think that being paid 9 times as much for what is physically just not 9 times as much work is a little bit crazy. Like, if she were paid 9 times for each character, then she'd have to be paid for how much time each character has, which might mean that she has 9 bit roles, which would pay a lot less than a leading role. You get what I mean?
Her agent's going to be able to negotiate whatever. I mean, the top actors get paid a lot more than 9 times what scale is in many situations.
Her day rate is pretty solid. I mean, she's not making like Big Bang Theory money, but like, yes, I'm sure her day rate is solid. But the fact of the matter is, like, she is credited at the end, or credited on IMDb and credited and everything, as her name, and then this name / this name / this name. I don't know. It's an interesting thing, because like now we're moving into a territory where one person can and does play numerous roles, and there should be. I don't know. I think she should get some kind of at least accolade for it.
I think awards is definitely a good territory for that. I just don't think that, because like, I don't know. She obviously is going to be working longer schedules than is normal on a TV show. You know, like so that, if she has an increased day rate and she's working more days, I think that's fair, because anyway.
Yeah.
But we should probably check out the show. But I know that Tumblr loves that show. Tumblr is obsessed with that show. So that's actually been the main reason that I've wanted to watch it, is because a lot of my friends are just like, it's the best thing in the world.
It's brilliant.
What's happening with the new Spider-Man film? What's going on with the new director?
Yeah, let's talk about the new Spider-Man film.
Sorry, Michelle, but you're the one who has to leave. So
yeah.
I know.
Got it.
So things are ramping up on selecting the director of the new Spider-Man film, because a new Spider-Man film series, I think we can assume, because we're told the character is supposed to appear in Captain America: Civil War, and that film is already in production. It's like, it's not far away from wrapping production and principal photography. And by the way, side note, Captain America: Civil War, the photos, everything that's happening on set and what's coming out from that online is just so awesome. Like, when Chris Evans is not immediately shooting a scene and they're shooting like crowd scenes and people panicking in the streets and stuff, there's all these photos of him like walking around on the set with a giant carton of water bottles and handing them out to the extras, because it's a boiling hot day in some like country where everything is roasting hot, and it's so cool. And the characters are fighting on Twitter. They're all fighting with each other on Twitter. Good-natured, like, Chris Evans is.
Wait, the actors or the characters?
The actors, basically as their characters. It's amazing. It's just fantastic. Like, go check it out because it's awesome. But Spider-Man. So they first of all they have to cast their actor. We don't have a Spider-Man yet. We don't have anybody cast as Peter Parker.
So he's not gonna. So Spider-Man can't be in Civil War.
He can't be. That's the thing. Is like they have to nail him down now, get him working with the directors and the actors now, and shoot all of his stuff in the last few weeks of principal photography of Civil War. Like. That's what they have to do. And that's why they're like, we need him now. So there's a short list of actors, and I hope that those actors are... I hope that they're playing it smart, because, like, Marvel has no fucking time to negotiate now.
But what if they... But because I read something that was obviously came out before they closed that deal with Sony that said that they were doing this without Spider-Man. So
doing Civil War without Spider-Man?
Civil War without Spider-Man. Like, they found a different character, I guess, to take that place.
They've said they have said almost 100% that he's going to be in Civil War.
Oh, okay, interesting. All right.
Who do we think's at the top?
Well, there's a whole list of early 20s white male actors who are on the short list and everything. They're
Andrew Garfield.
No, it's definitely not going to be Andrew Garfield. Unfortunately, I thought that he was pretty much the best.
I liked him too. Yeah.
I thought he was the best part of the Amazing Spider-Man films, but obviously that was a Sony only deal. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
But where was I? Oh yeah. So they need to nail down the director because they also need to give us Spider-Man films before he starts appearing in the Avengers and everything. Like they need to establish the character just like they do with all of their other characters. A few good points are that we're not getting another origin story. They're done. They're just starting with him already being Spider-Man and in high school. And what Feige has said is that they're going to give us 4 films that are 4 years of high school. But in the first one, he will already be Spider-Man. And they also
really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I like that a lot. I think that's a lot better. And they also said that they're going for a much more humor-filled franchise. Like, they want Spider-Man to be fun and playful like he is in the comics. There's a few...
Yeah, he's hilarious in the comic books.
And there's a few storylines, obviously, that are way darker and way more serious than others. But for the most part, Spider-Man is just really freaking hilarious. So apparently they're going for that. And their current shortlist of directors really reflects that. Directors that they're looking at right now include Jonathan Levine, who did Warm Bodies, Ted Melfi, who did St. Vincent, Jason Moore, who directed the first Pitch Perfect, and Jared Hess, who directed Napoleon Dynamite. So obviously a pool of directors who are much more inclined toward humor and lightheartedness than dark and brooding and goth Spider-Man who does a dance scene in the middle of the street. God damn it! What the hell? But all of the Spider-Men in both series didn't have enough of. And meanwhile, in other comic book directing news, there's a lot of interesting stuff happening with comic book directing. Marvel is courting the director of Selma, Ava DuVernay. I think I'm pronouncing her name right, to helm what they're calling one of their diverse superhero movies. What that means is she's going to do one of the Marvel superhero films that does not star a white guy. I know. So currently on that roster, she'll either be directing Captain Marvel, which is starring a woman, or Black Panther, which is starring an African American.
Right. Captain Marvel might be a black woman too. I mean, she has been at times.
Yeah. But I think that we've had a list of actors that they're considering for the role, and I think that
none of them are black. Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Personally, I really like the choice of Katie Sackhoff. Personally, that's just me. That's just me being a big fat Battlestar Galactica fan.
Oh,
she would be
Starbucks.
Yeah.
I don't know why everyone loves her so much. I
love her. Love her so much. Anyways,
point being, IMDb her.
I don't think she's a good actress.
I do.
Anyway, I don't mean to talk smack about her, but I'm like, I thought it was a great choice having a woman Starbucks. I just thought she's so bad.
Really? Nah.
Yeah.
I loved her. She was my favorite character in the show. Well, her and Adama. Anyway, point being, so Ava DuVernay is going to direct. I'm personally hoping for Black Panther because that would just be great. It would be awesome. We're basically getting Marvel's Black Batman, who is incredibly rich, owner of one of the most prosperous countries on the entire continent of Africa, a really good and awesome guy, and it's like. I think he's a very important character in the comics, and I think that he, is a good bit of representation. You know what I mean? He's not just representation; he's good, awesome representation. He has so many moments in the comics that are like really, really awesome. So this is a cool thing for Marvel to be doing in either direction, even if it is. It feels like a little bit of a counterploy to DC working so hard to get a female director for Wonder Woman. And on that whole subject, I don't care why both big comic book studios are going for female and African American directors of their films. I just care that they are. I think it's a good thing for women in the industry and for the film industry itself. But I'm going to be talking about that more in my main topic, which we're going to get into the main topics now. And like all of these mention feminism, which I just absolutely love. So, Michelle, why don't you get going on Melissa McCarthy?
Yeah, I just read an article about her on Entertainment Weekly, which was great. It was this whole thing. There was a reporter that wrote something about her that was very inflammatory, and she happened to run into him at the Toronto Film Festival and give him what for.
Awesome.
But I did a little research because I really didn't know very much about her career before she got into Gilmore Girls. So from my calculations, she was 29 and had been in the business, doing, one-liners, that kind of thing, very smaller roles when she auditioned for Gilmore Girls. And she worked at Starbucks, YMCA, did the whole actor thing. But she,
I can't believe she's older than me. That's amazing. Good for her.
Yeah, right?
She doesn't look it. She looks great.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Way to be down on yourself, Chad.
I like looking old. I've always wanted to look old.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Go ahead, Michelle.
So along comes Amy Sherman-Palladino, who cast McCarthy in as Sookie in Gilmore Girls, which she did the whole time. But in an interview, she said that she literally had to fight with the network to hire McCarthy. And like there was a whole thing, and that she might have gotten fired too, that because they were not looking for that she was not a traditionally pretty actress, meaning she was overweight. But obviously when she finally convinced him to hire her, she's brilliant. And then, she was part of the Groundlings comedy troupe, and then after that, but for Bridesmaids, because of the fact that she was part of Groundlings, Kristen Wiig and Andy Mumolo had to convince Judd Apatow to even let her audition, because they were like, no, we don't want a fat girl. No, we don't. So anyway, and then she did Bridesmaids, and she was brilliant. Anyway, there's this whole thing, and I think it's maybe, being talked about, but I don't think anything has been done about it, about the whole fattest thing in Hollywood. The only woman, by the way, so there's this whole spy thing coming out with Melissa McCarthy. She has her own film. She's acquired solo top billing in a major studio film. She's the only woman, and I looked this up, ever that is larger than a size 6 to achieve this accolade. Ever. In the world.
Wow.
Ever. And people are still saying things like this guy that wrote the article about her is like, McCarthy is a good actor when she's more attractive. So now I personally happen to be a size 6, and the reason I'm all up in arms about this is because I was passed on, my agent told me, for a role in the past 2 weeks because I looked too healthy for the role, meaning I was too fat. Now, I understand that the camera adds 10 pounds, that's cool, but it's making a generation of female actors that are competing to be the unhealthiest. I have a friend who will remain nameless, who is on a network drama series right now, and it was her first major role other than being on a soap opera. And I asked her how she did it, and she said, and I quote, "I lost 20 pounds." She wasn't even good in her audition. She went into the audition, the casting director asked her to go into another room with her casting assistant so she could memorize her lines and then come back and audition. And then she got the job. And the half hour later, they sent the skinny tape to the network, and she got the job. And she's been doing it for the past 4 years. And she's not a good actress. And she will tell you, she's not a good actress. She's like, I don't take acting class. She's like, I just say the words that they tell me to. I just decided that I'd get skinny and I'd be on television. So, now I don't think this is true of everyone. Sometimes, indie films break the mold and hire chunky ladies, and there's some normal-sized co-stars on television, but I think the ridiculous skinny, Botox, highlighted hair ladies are the norm on TV. So, I guess the question is, as a generation of actors coming up, does one conform and attempt to conform to the what seem to be the requirements of the industry right now, or does one do the Melissa McCarthy and take a chance and just be who you are? I don't know. I think that the ridiculous. Oh wait, there's something else I wanted to say. I don't know. I just think it's perpetuating an awful culture. People OD on Xanax and Ambien and Valium because guess what? They don't have calories. Red wine has calories. Not that I'm condoning alcoholism, but do we try to be the anomaly and beat the odds and be ourselves, or do we, as my friend said and did, live on lettuce and cigarettes and get a series regular on a network drama?
Well, this is not the same thing, but I have, or I had, the last 9-to-5 job I worked, my boss had a 15-year-old daughter, and she was an actress, an aspiring actress, and she was very tall for her age, very tall for her age. She was like 5'10", which is actually, no, 5'8" maybe, which is tall for a woman in general. For a 15-year-old, incredibly tall. She could not get cast in anything because she looked young, but she was too tall. So she was, she couldn't be cast as a 15-year-old, but she also couldn't be cast as an 18-year-old. And if they were casting a 15-year-old, they'd get somebody who was 18 but was like 5'2", because then you don't have to provide a set teacher and all of these sorts of things and everything like that. And because of she had a really big glowing career as a child actor. She was on all kinds of shows. She was on multiple episodes of Grey's Anatomy. She was on I think she was on Gilmore Girls. She was just like practically every network TV show. It was just crazy. She still has like a lot of money saved up from all of her child acting and everything like that. And then at the age of 15, when I was around, I don't know if what the case is right now, but she decided to quit because she couldn't get roles anymore, because nobody would cast her older than she actually was, because why not just get somebody who actually was and didn't come with all the rules, and she couldn't be cast as younger because she was too big. My thing that I made a very passionate argument about was like, don't quit, and don't be what these people want you to be. Our whole industry, the actual mainstream industry, is based on getting approval. It's based on getting approval for your looks, approval for your ideas, and approval for this, that, and the other thing, but not from your audience, from this arbitrary council of people, whether it's directors or producers or casting directors or whatever. You are fighting and scrounging for their approval that you look good enough or are good enough to be allowed to work for them. It's fucking ridiculous, and that's why We Make Movies is fantastic. That's why indie film should be like the go-to for most people, unless you can build yourself a position of power in indie film that then people come and want to work with you because you have made it yourself. The fucking director of Napoleon Dynamite is being considered to direct a Spider-Man film. Like, my God, he didn't come up through the studio system, because the studio system is bullshit. So I say, if you want to be the skinny starlet and diet and like weigh whatever you want to weigh, as long as you're being healthy, I have nothing to say about that. That's totally fine for you. But if you, the listener, not you, Michelle, but if you want to be just an actor, then make your own stuff. Start a YouTube channel. Start like promoting yourself and making your own things, and come to We Make Movies and do it. Like, that's what you should do. Fuck all that studio bullshit. You're not skinny enough. You're too healthy. If I ever hear somebody get fired because they're being too healthy, I'm going to fucking walk off of that project. That is fucking disgusting. I've been on my soapbox long enough, and this was already a long segment, so we should probably...
Sorry. Can of worms opened.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on to yours, Garrett?
Okay. Yes. Well, I mean, it does provide a natural segue. I have a video on my YouTube channel that I titled "Feminism versus Egalitarianism," and it's my most hated video on YouTube ever. That is the only video on my channel where I have left advertisements on. I turned advertisements off my entire YouTube channel because my Patreon supporters already pay me 20 to 30 times as much as YouTube was paying me month to month. So why have annoying advertisements up that just kind of get in their way of seeing my content. Like it's not making enough money to be worth it. But I left ads up on feminism versus egalitarianism because the probably 95% of the people who watch that video are hateful, small-minded little douche trolls, and I don't mind throwing up annoying advertisements and continuing to make money off of those people. Douche trolls, yes, absolutely. And one of the criticisms that I get on that video is that by attempting to participate in feminism, I'm favoring women over men, so by default, I'm being sexist. No joke, this is a thing that gets said. While this show has been recording, I got this comment. You paying special attention to women because they are women contradicts your so-called fight for equality, which that person clearly didn't watch the video or missed the entire point of the video. This is despite this complete logical insanity, this is one of the most common arguments against feminism, that by attempting to address problems that women face in society, we're not being fair to the men. Never mind that modern feminism also tries to address gender-based problems that do primarily affect men. And this is my main problem with people who say that egalitarianism is the best practice, that by just personally treating everyone equally, we're fixing society, etc., etc. The problem is that statistically, this just doesn't work. If you were completely fair in your evaluations of, like, let's say that I was a producer, let's say I'm a director. This happens. This happens. This is like my career. I talk about this in my video. If I have a script that I want to direct, I go looking for female producers, because if I just went looking for producers and didn't make any special attempt to find female producers, only about 10% of the people that I would find would be women, because only 10% of producers are women. Now that's actually in traditional Hollywood. That's probably a much better ratio in independent film, but it's still lower. There is still sexism in the film industry, whether it's independent or, you know, big studio, and it's not that every single person in the industry is sexist. It's that there is a culture where women are not encouraged to join, they are passed up more often, etc., etc. And the only way to change that is by trying our best to help swing the scales in the other direction without being ridiculous about it. And this is such a simple concept. I can't understand why people get so absolutely butthurt about it. But because I specifically wanted and courted Michelle to produce Unsaid, and because I specifically have asked for certain crew members that I know are really good crew members who also happen to be women, like Ambika Lay, I will have her on any film, whatever she wants to do. I don't care, because she's a fantastic filmmaker and she is a powerful female filmmaker. She provides incredibly valuable insight on anything that she does. And if I just went for the first person who answered the ad, 90% of the time it's going to be a guy. And that will never change unless we try to swing the balance the other way. So that's just like what I wanted to talk about, is that if you do have a problem with the film industry, with some concept of ageism or sexism or racism or anything like that, there is very little, this is a sad truth, there's very little that we can do about it. There's very little that we can do about the fact that studios will 9 times out of 10 hire male directors, male producers, male scriptwriters. 90% of the time it's going to be guys above the line. The only thing that we can do is to cultivate amazing, diverse, independent talent. And unfortunately, advancing my own career doesn't help the cause at all, because I am your
big white male.
Your absolute privileged white male and whatever, but I still want to be a successful filmmaker, so I am going to advance my career, and I'm going to try to balance that by finding other people, you know, like, and specifically finding them and pulling them in. Because you don't get them just by you know, taking the first comer. You do it by specifically cultivating that diversity. So that's my spiel for the day. And fuck the studios.
Amen.
So,
I guess that's You want to go ahead?
So we're gonna skip mine. We obviously don't have time for mine, unfortunately. But but I'll just kind of tack on the tail end of it, which is that the Supergirl trailer I saw this week, and it was, I thought, awful. I thought it was really awful. I
did too, and I don't know why.
I know
That's
why.
What's annoying
I know
to
why.
me.
I can tell you exactly why. Okay, so they couch this they make it seem like they have this like actual pro-feminist show, and it's the funny thing, because what sucks is that if I had time to do my main topic, it would kind of tie in exactly to this. So unfortunately we don't have time to get into it, but the short version of it is that if you have an agenda, okay, so super quickly, Mad Max, go see it, amazing. You've never seen an action film until you've seen Mad Max. Like, that's how I felt when I saw it.
That's what I keep hearing. And I was so disinterested, but now everybody is saying...
The crazy irony about this particular thing is, like, I didn't hear about all this feminist stuff. Like, the movie's supposed to be like, this is super feminist movie, blah, blah, blah. I didn't hear any of it until I'd already seen the movie. So it didn't register with me, even as I was watching it, until afterwards I was like, oh, really? They thought it had this agenda, blah, blah, blah. It's a fantastic movie.
Okay.
If some of the main characters happen to be women, whatever. It is what it is. Their agenda wasn't there. I did not see the agenda. I did not feel the agenda. I was caught up with this film. The Supergirl trailer, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. Like, it is like, oh, this is like this girl who's got all these powers, blah, 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 but she's like so fixated. And first of all, the trailer is cut, and there's the music especially. It's like a rom-com. The first 35, 40 seconds of it, it's like a rom-com. I mean, it could be any of these awful, awful rom-coms from the past 15 years. And it's like, oh, this girl, she's just a regular girl. She also just happens to be a superhero. And then you see there's a line at a certain point where Callista Flockhart is in it, and she plays this really awful boss. And then she says this line.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Clearly the argument that they're going to be making to people who are saying, oh my God, this is an awful, super not good for girls show, and this line is the thing, and I can't remember what the line is, but it was basically like, so you arguing this is not positive, whatever. She says it. She says the thing that people are going to be saying, and then she mocks it, and I don't know, it's hard to explain, but my point is that the agenda is clear, and it is not well done. And
it's just so like wham, and honestly, blatant, slamming you over the head with the agenda aside, I wouldn't mind a rom-com take on a superhero film or superhero series. I'm sort of like, what an interesting concept, but this trailer is not it.
It's not,
and looks like
nobody's good.
Yeah, it looks like the worst possible clone of a really bad rom-com TV show, kind that gets canceled after a season, and then she's a superhero as well. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah, and it's done by the Arrow, the same showrunner, I guess, who does Arrow and Flash. And I think that, I watch those shows. They're kind of guilty pleasures of mine. Anything comic book related, I have to watch. But but every time they get into the really crappy parts, and it's like per episode, there's like maybe 3 to 5 minutes where I'm just like rolling my eyes and being like, let's just get through this stupid CW thing for the kids. Like, just every single episode, it's like that, and it looks like this show is like 90% that. And it's upsetting. But anyway, we're already past time, so we should end the show.
Hopefully the show is better than the trailer, but based on how long and involved that trailer was, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We end as always, or we don't end as always, but before we end as always, we talk about community news. First thing, we like to ask people whether they're watching live or listening on the iTunes audio feed. Please rate the show on iTunes. It helps people find us. It helps us rank better in the iTunes store. Helps other filmmakers, join the community and so on. So it's generally a good thing. This week, Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. at the Theater Asylum Elephant Theater, in Hollywood. We have What's Next is the live event that's going on. This is where filmmakers bring in stories that are not in development. They're either producing or being produced or have been produced and are showing, us a rough edit or something like that. So this is an awesome. What's next is actually, I wish I could come more often, but it's one of my favorites because you get to see people, who have made movies, and we make movies. That's the thing. Like, the writer events are great. I love to see pieces that are going to be made, but because we're such a diverse community all over the place in terms of physical location and what we're doing and when we're doing it, I don't always get to see pieces after they've actually been filmed. So What's Next is the perfect place to do that. Please come by the 7:30 p.m., the Elephant Theater in Hollywood, and we'd love to show you around. And finally, We Make Movies is the only filmmaking community that we know of fully supported by its own community, and that happens through Patreon.com, which is a voluntary service that you can subscribe to basically to support artists that you like. And We Make Movies has a Patreon that pays for all of the group's activities, and in addition, 70% of every dollar goes into a rolling production fund that pays for films to be made by the community, and we will very shortly be making the first film paid for by our Patreon supporters, which is
let me amend that slightly.
Stellar. Yeah.
Let me amend that slightly. 70 cents of every dollar raised here from now on. There was a certain net that we have to hit. So not of every dollar we raise, but every dollar now.
Yes, exactly.
Moving forward, yes.
Yes, moving forward. That's what's occurring right now. So
yes.
it's pretty freaking awesome, and there's some amazing filmmakers in the community who I can't wait until we're just like popping off films every once in a while, because we have enough amazing writers and directors and producers that we could just be making oh hey, yeah, we made a new film paid for by the community. It's totally awesome.
Absolutely.
Totally cool.
Super cool. All right, things to know. I had a big fat fuck up on one of my books this week.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
What happened?
It made me physically ill. Well, to find out. To other people, it's going to be hilarious, and in about 6 months, it's going to be hilarious to me. But it made me physically ill when I found out what happened. But I'm going to talk about it in one of my patron-exclusive weekend videos this week. So if you want to hear all about it, you can pop over to my Patreon and get the exclusive video. It's patreon.com/GarrettB.Robinson. But, yeah.
Wow, I can't wait to see that. But here, I actually have a bunch of really quick things to know. WMM Fest is coming. Go to WeMakeMovies.org and sign up to our newsletter to find out more about it. Also, you can go to WMMFest.com and check out the lineup. The lineup is out. You can also buy your tickets at that same link, WMMFest.com. There's going to be a number of surprise screenings in there. So just the films that you see on that list are not all the films that are going to play. There are a few that are surprise, so be prepared for that. I want to wish my buddy Bruce Riley a happy 10th rebirthday. He's an activist and lawyer in New Orleans, and I'm sorry I can't come to celebrate it with you. And in case you want to know what a rebirthday is, it's for a convict when they get out of jail. They get, you have a rebirth day every year you're out. So he's been out for 10 years. Congratulations, Bruce. Congratulations also to Daryl Carson, who's getting married today. Probably already did because it's in Paris and it's several hours ahead of us. So congratulations for getting married. He was the writer of Tuesday Morning, which is screened for the last time at New Filmmakers LA last night. And then the last thing to know is Alterna Comics' The Chair film. This was the film that Kendall produced a little bit ago. They're raising a little money. They've always said that this was going to be the case for post-production. So they're raising money right now on Kickstarter. I will include the link in the show links. Check it out. Help promote them. They have 8 more days to hit their target. And there you have it.
Totes awesome. Michelle?
Me. Okay, so the reason I have to go really fast is that I'm shooting a film today. It's called A Horror Story, but it's the third in a trilogy. It's just this really adorable, hilarious trilogy about this, starring James Zimmerman, who is a brilliant, hilarious writer. So you should check it out. This is the third one. A Horror Story is the third one, but you can find First Time Phone Sex and Mikasa Sukasa are the first two. The First Time Phone Sex got into like a slew of festivals, and it's kind of huge. So hilarious. It's produced by Pretty Horsey Pictures, and yeah, it's James Zimmerman and Kate Huffman in First Time Phone Sex. They're just hilarious. It's ridiculous, brilliant actors, well written, and great quality. So
can I just tell you that you had me at
Pretty Pony.
Masa.
Oh,
A pretty horsey.
Pretty Horsey. You had me a Pretty Horsey.
All right, those are the things to know, and with that, I will bring this slightly over-length show to a close, but it's fun. It's good because it was a good show. I liked this show. I'm going to listen back to it. Thank you very much for hanging out with us this Sunday afternoon. Patrick Coleman Duncan, thank you for your live comments. We will see you all next week at 4 p.m., our regularly scheduled time. I've been Garrett Robinson. You can find me at garrettbrobinson.com. Chad is at superfreako.com. And Michelle can be found on Twitter at mlucadoo. See you next week, everybody. Goodbye.